Good morning, everyone. My name is Grace Farrow. I'm a Solid Edge application engineer here for Prolim, and we are going to be going over the Solid Edge 2020 modular plant design. For this webinar, we are going to be sticking to this agenda. We are going to be looking at how we can design pipe systems using automated processes. I'm going to show you how to quickly create piping and instrumentation diagrams, and then I'm also going to show you how to generate lists, report BOMs, and intelligent PDFs. So getting started with that, I guess the real question is, what is modular plant design? So basically it takes the rudimentary 2D piping planning to full-scale 3D piping systems. The Solid Edge modular plant design solution streamlines workflow processes. So it's linked the 3D piping, support for the 3D piping and instrumentation diagrams, otherwise known as P&ID, and the Isogen output ensures that your products are designed right the first time and every time. So these software modules allow users to easily capture design intent, otherwise known as logic, in a 2D schematic, and then develop the 2D P&IDs into a comprehensive 3D model of a process plant. So we are going to be looking at a demonstration of that today inside Solid Edge. So for this modular plant design demonstration, I have it installed in my Solid Edge 2020. That's why I have a modular plant design tab up here. And all the way over to the left is where we're going to start. So to just open up the P&ID schematics, this is where we're going to go to piping. And it's going to open all this up for us. And we are going to drop this P&ID down and select this P&ID to-do list. So we're going to begin this demonstration with the 3D assembly of the plant design that's in the background. To the to-do list from within the piping dialog provides valuable feedback on what tasks need to be completed. It is configurable. For example, changes from a single list of components or filter by component type, making it easier to find the things you're looking for. And it supports cross highlighting in both environments. So when I go into my P&ID here, I'm going to kind of pull this down, rearrange this a little bit so we can see both. So if I were to select a component on this side, we're going to see that in all three areas it's highlighted. So I have it not only in my schematics and my 2D, my diagrams, I also have it in my P&ID to-do list here, as well as my 3D model. But for now, we're going to focus on the 2D P&ID schematic of our piping system. So I'm going to get back into here, make this a little bigger. So a nice feature of Solid Edge P&ID is the built-in report capability. So it's easy to keep up with all the information, such as component lists and diagrams. So adding components to the diagram is made easy by leveraging the built-in database, which is preloaded with all the required standards for P&ID creation, and which supports strict governing requirements for plant design. So to get started with this, we are going to import a pump into this diagram. Over here on the left-hand side, we have our component database, and this is going to have all of our components listed out in here. So we have vessels and tank, heat exchange, filters, dryers, pumps, compressors, valves, and we do have a search bar down here at the bottom. So for the time being, I am going to filter out a search for pump. And I'm going to get these 3 pumps that show up. It's going to have our description, our article number, and that's how we found it, was with our type. Okay, so I am going to select this first pump for our demonstration, and it's going to bring up that available symbol for that pump. And I'm just going to place that real quick. And for this, we are given the option to have unique tag numbers that can be used to fully define any of the components in the diagram, as well as any other characteristics you might want to add. So for this example, this is going to be P3000. Down here, I do have a couple different kinds of options. I have general, reference design, symbol data field, reference, cons, mechanical accessory. So this is just all of the other data that goes with this pump that you can specialize, generalize down here. For this example, I'm going to make sure the inner equipment is turned off. We're going to go ahead and say OK for that to place it. I'm going to go ahead and get out of there. Alright, so we placed our first pump, this P3000.
So for this example, my pump is facing the wrong way, so I can right click and I have a ton of options down here, but I can rotate that really easily. Just like that. That's exactly what I want. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the pipeline, which is also a very simple task. So we're going to create the 2D representation of where the pipes will reside. For this example, a pipe from the tank to the pump needs to be drawn. So up here at the top, I'm just going to select the blue, just kind of so I can see it a little better. Come over here, I'm going to draw a line from the tank to the pump. And then once we've created the pipe specs, and the size can be defined. So one advantage is that this information is extracted from the database, taking all the guesswork out. So all common standards are supported, and then after placement, the component tag can be moved and rotated to help create this the schematic that you need. So since I have my line drawn now, all I have to do is give it a name and the properties that I want to apply to it. So I'm going to get out of there. I'm going to double click on my route and I'm going to give it the name PL300. Okay. And then I'm also going to select my pipe specification. So that is this button up here at the top. So for my pipe specifications, I'm going to look at my SPEC 10CA for my specification name. I'm going to give it a diameter of 100. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Under here, we do have a general tab and the line data fields. For this tag, this is a data field formula. I am going to uncheck that just to make it a little easier for us to see. And then I'm going to say OK. We can see here that we do have this PL300 that we can move around. That's associated here. So I'm going to actually move that up here just so it's a little easier. That P3000 we can also move that if it's convenient for us. But now we are going to place a valve.
So when placing components onto the pipeline, such as the valve that we're about to place, an option to place from specification ensures that we get the right size. So when I right click on my path here, this place from specification is where I'm going to choose my valve from. Now when I choose my valve, for this example, I am going to choose this globe valve and say OK. And as I place this will automatically rotate for the correct direction. And we're going to see that in just a second. And then, of course, any fine-tuning can be done to the schematics very quickly, right? So we have this component data where I can enter in a different name here, one GV300. And again, we have all kinds of specifications we can apply in here. We're going to say OK. And you can see that this will automatically adjust to the direction that we wanted. And I can move this handle again if I'd like. So as mentioned earlier, to communicate manufacturing information to downstream systems, lists and reports can be automatically generated from the drawing. So this could be a bill of materials, which sum up the identical components by its article number, or components list, which analyzes components by tag numbers. So when we go down here to the bottom, we do have these tabs down here. I do have my BOM 1, my BOM 2, comp data 1, comp data 2. I also have a symbols legend here if I need that, and another legend here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my comp data 1, and I'm going to update this list. I'm going to go to comp data 2, update this list. Okay, because I was on my second sheet here. So comp data 2, right click. We're going to update this list, and we're going to see that some new component names are going to be added in here, right? We had a couple more that has to do with my valve as well as my pump that I put in there. And then to also aid in this process, intelligent PDFs can be created. So these PDFs include the cover and index page along with the rest of the information created. We also can show visible geometry, and the component properties are communicated in that PDF. So we are going to export the 2D schematics to PDF. So we are going to come up here. So when we go over to File, and we go down to Export to PDF, we're going to be creating these PDFs. There's a couple tabs here at the top. We have Select Pages, so this is for if you only want specific pages. We have Setup, and then we have Pop-up Information. We're going to see what the pop-up information is about when we generate these PDFs. But I'm going to say Update All Lists, and then say OK. Yes. And what that's going to do is that is going to create that PDF file for us. It's going to have the title page. We're going to have drop this down, and we'll have diagrams in here as well. So we're going to take a look at the pump that we just put in here, and if I select that, it's going to bring up those pop-up information that I told you about before, right? So we can edit those from that generating PDF. We also can go to our valve and look at the specifications on that one. It's just a very interactive PDF. If we scroll down, we have that bill list of materials. And overall, it's just extremely interactive. So now that the P&ID has been changed, we can go back into the 3D solid edge environment. And on the right-hand side here, this to-do list illustrates the changes that need to be implemented in the model based on those updates that we made in the P&ID diagram. So we're going to just refresh our P&ID project. We're going to refresh this. And what this is going to do is it's going to look at the P&ID diagram, look at the changes that we've made, pull those changes in. So it's going to add in that pump and that valve as well. And our changes are going to be highlighted in orange just to make it easier for us to see. And then once we do that, we're going to actually place the pump and the line and the valve in solid edge into this 3D environment. And it's very easy. It has a very nice implementation between the softwares. So here we do have this component. So when we drop that down, we do have that GV300 as well as that P3000. So that's our pump and our valve. And then if we go to our pipeline, we also have a new pipeline here. That's that PL300, and the underscore is the diameter of 100. So moving forward, these are what we're going to focus on. So the first step here is to get the new pump placed into our solid edge assembly. So 3D parts are placed from the standard parts library, and the component properties from the P&ID are automatically assigned. So when I come down to my pump and I right click and I'm going to say place 3D model to CAD, what this is going to do is it's going to bring up the standard parts library dialog. I'm going to find my pump I'm looking for in this dialog, and I am going to, I've already found it, so I'm going to go ahead and select this. And it is going to bring in this pump, and we are going to place it in our assembly. So it's as easy as coming over and selecting this floor that I want my pump to be constrained to, as well as this hole, and then this face. And now it is fully constrained. So now when we come over here and we look at our pump, we can see that it is no longer orange, indicating that it has been specified and assigned. So now that I have placed my pump, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create that piping path. So when I scroll down here, again, my piping path that I created in my P&ID is yellow. And we are going to actually create that 3D model here. Okay, so there are a couple buttons that will help us clearly identify the points and make it easy to define the appropriate 3D pipeline path to make sure that it doesn't crash into anything. And that is this show from 2 points here on my to-do list. If I select that, we can see those from 2 points, and if I want to toggle that off, I just hit this red X right here. Before I actually define this path, I am going to clean up my screen a little bit. I'm going to minimize my ribbon, and I'm also going to show you guys a few other themes you can put on here. So, if you drop this down, we have these options for themes. I personally like the black one, so I'm going to make it black. I'm also going to shrink this down a little bit and kind of reposition it so it's not so in the way. And then I'm going to actually make this one a little bigger. I want to be able to see all of my components and for when I'm checking those. Okay. So now that I do have my screen set up how I want it, we are going to be defining this path. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a subassembly to store the piping information. And we did that by right-clicking and created that subassembly. So now we're going to actually go into that subassembly, and we're going to go into the Solid Edge Express route under our Tools tab up at the top. So Express route is going to help us quickly create the desired pipe path from the same 2 ports that we highlighted earlier. We're also going to use Path Express, so that's going to be used to create that path between the two. So I'm going to select my first point. I'm going to enter in 800 millimeters. Then I'm going to select the second point. And we're going to see how doing this gives us the ability to choose different paths, to be able to toggle between those paths to select the most effective one. So this is the path that I'm going to go with, that I want to solidify. So I'm going to go down there. I'm going to say Pipeline Paths. Created that path now. And now I'm going to go ahead and go back to my to-do list. And I'm going to say Assign Pipeline. So this assign option is going to select that path in Solid Edge and then automatically pull that information from the P&ID to create the correct pipes. Again, this is taking all of that guesswork out. So we can see that why I made the screen a little bigger, so we can see all of this interacting at the same time. On the left-hand side in the Pathfinder, we can see all of those pipes being added to our Pathfinder. And then we can also see how it's been added in our model as well. So now what we're going to do are the final steps. So now we're going to actually add the valve that was defined in that P&ID. So it's the same process as when the pump was placed. So the valve information gets extracted from P&ID. The correct valve is selected from the 3D parts standard library. And then we only need to place it into this assembly. So again, those placing components, real easy, just like normal. I'm just going to place that in here with those standard assembly placement tools. And then once placed, you can see that it recalculated the route, automatically adjusting the pipes and places any additional flanges and gaskets as required. And then we're also going to notice on the to-do list that it is all up to date while this is working, right? So we have just placed our valve, and those pipes have been updated, which is perfect. So now just looking at that valve and the pipe, we're going to go into our isometric command. And by doing this, we're going to create an isometric drawing for the 3D pipeline. It's going to be created really quickly and easily. With these steps right here, I had just gone into, this is my data validation, this is my output specifications. So it's going to gather all the necessary information, which is automatically taken from the 3D pipeline that we just created and used it for generating the isometric drawings. So the interface offers a few different options, but the final results, in this case, a solid edge draft file, as we can see, that's generating in the background, right? And it's going to contain all the appropriate information required for the manufacturing of this pipeline. All we have to do is open the drawing up and review them. So here I'm going to open up that drawing, and here's my isometric drawings. We can see on the right-hand side, I have a materials list, fabrication, and here's more examples of it. Here's another one. So just really detailed information, really useful information for us. So we took a look at how Solid Edge and P&ID interact in the modular plant design for Solid Edge 2020. We took a look at how to create those PDF files, those interactive PDFs. That is all that I have for you today for the modular plant design. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat now. I will try to answer all of them to the best of my ability. If there are any questions that might take a little more time, I can always send you an email. If you have more detailed questions that you want to send me, you can send it to grace.farrow@prolim.com. But again, thank you for attending. My name is Grace Farrow, and I hope you have a wonderful day.